what does your phone look like? This is a fun question because it's really interesting to see how people organize their phones. And I am definitely one of those people that I like things in place. I like using folders. I like making it look pretty. But I do see some people that have, several screens that are just filled with apps and the shortcuts to apps, and they don't use any folders, or maybe they just use a handful of folders and then the rest of it is all apps. And that would drive my brain crazy. I would feel so overwhelmed when I open my phone every time to see all the different apps. If that's you, or maybe that is you, but you don't want to be that way, we're going to walk through how I organize my phone that makes a world of difference, because even when my phone was organized, I was still finding that I was being pulled to my phone. And when I would open it, I would automatically click on social media and start scrolling without even thinking about it. And I was just an automatic motion. And I would get so upset with myself because it was always pulling me to it. And I'm like, I don't even want to be on Instagram. Like, that's not what I want. So I need to close it out right away. And I was like, I just need to reorganize my phone in a way that works for me. It's still pretty. I can still access what I need to, but I'm not constantly going to my phone all the time. And I figured out a way to do it, and I've been using it for probably a few weeks now, and I absolutely love it. And it's perfect timing going into the holidays and going into winter where I don't rely on my phone so much. So I want to share that with you if you need to organize your phone as well. Are you ready to stop the chaos, the stress, the overwhelm that's filling your life? I'm Renae Matt, and together you and I are going to build simple routines that are going to change your life. When you put these habits into practice, you're going to be able to organize your life in a way where you can be there for your family, pay off your debt, save money, your house can stay organized, you don't have to stress about what's for dinner, and you still get time for yourself. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the Routine Advantage Podcast. Now, there is a little caveat here because the intention is to spend less time on your phone. However, you need to spend a little time on your phone for this process. So it's not going to happen in 5 minutes and you're going to be done. It does take a little time to get it set up if you're going to do it the same way that I did. But once you do it, you actually spend less time on your phone, which is really nice. So first off, I do have an iPhone. It was a recent switch for me, and I'm still getting used to it, but that is what I have right now. And with an iPhone, if you have one, you're familiar with the app library. So if you scroll all the way to the right, there is a search bar at the top, and then you can just search up any app that you have on your phone, which is really handy because then everything doesn't have to be on your home screen. It's all in this little library off all the way to the right. Other phones have something very similar in an app menu screen, and I believe they also have a search bar. I can't remember if my phone had a search bar because I didn't set it up this way, but there is an app library where you can always access your apps. So there is that option. So even though we're clearing out our home screen, you can still always go and access them if you need to find them. So just keep that in mind. Even though we're removing things from the home screen, it's not like we're deleting the apps altogether. So my first step was actually removing everything off of my home screen because I wanted to start with a fresh base. So I took everything off, and then I actually picked a theme so that it would be a very aesthetic background. I have this wintry holiday scene that is the photo, and then it has neutral colored icons. So all of my icons, I think they're actually black. I'm looking at a document on my phone right now for my notes, but so I can't see it right now, but I think all of my icons are black, and then it has this really pretty wintry holiday scene in the background. So it's a very pretty looking setup, but that is important to me. If that's not important to you, you can skip that. Although I will say, by doing the icons all one color, it does not pull my pull my eye and pull my focus to the social media apps or to the ones that I often click on without thinking about it, because they're not colored anymore. You have that like brand that really stands out to you, but when it's a different icon, it doesn't pull so much. So if you have a tendency to open Instagram all the time or open Amazon all the time and shop without needing to shop just because you're bored and you see it, you don't have to do that. Like, change your icons, and then it takes care of that habit of constantly just catching your eye and opening it up without thinking about it. So then once you remove everything and pick a theme if you want one, I only brought back the apps to my home screen that were the most important for me to have easy access to. And I also added widgets. Now, if you are not familiar with widgets, basically it's like a little preview into an app that it gives you a little more information than an icon does, because it's not just the icon to click into it. A lot of times you can see some information from that app before having to click onto it. So sometimes it gives you enough information, depending on what it is, where you don't even have to click on it. And sometimes you actually want to, or it just gives you a little preview. So it really depends on what type of widget it is. But if you're not familiar with widgets, just YouTube your type of phone and how to get widgets on it, and then it'll walk you through how to get widgets on your particular phone. But usually you just hold on the home screen and then it will come up with like add widgets or something to that effect, where you can then go through and pick one for the ones that you have available on your phone. So what I ended up doing is I now have 3 screens that I use plus my app library. So when I'm like scrolling across, if I open my phone, I have 4 screens that I can flip to, 3 that I set up, and then that app library. So if you open my phone, the very first screen, the main one, that like default screen, is very simple. When you open it up, it has that pretty photo, and then it has the date in the top left, and then it has a weather widget in the top right. And it gives me a quick look at the temperature it is outside, so I know how to dress for the walk in the morning, and sometimes it's really cold, but that is all that's on my home screen. And then if I scroll to the left and I swipe so that I get to the left screen, then I have a widget screen. So there's only widgets on that left screen. And so those are the quick access tools. And on that widget screen, I have a screen time widget, which gives me a quick glance at the total screen time that I have and where I'm spending my time. And then it also has a little audiobook widget, because I do like listening to audiobooks. So it has the one that I'm listening to that I have a quick access to. And then it also has a podcast player widget and a battery life widget. So it gives me all of those things at a quick glance. And then if I go back to my default screen and then I slide right instead of left, on that right screen, I have a calendar widget at the top, which is just a quick glance at the time blocks I have for just that day. It's not a whole week or anything like that. It's just that day. I have the time blocks that I have in there in my Google Calendar, my meetings, appointments, my routines are actually blocked in there to make sure I have time to do all of my routines and those 5 first routines. And then I have my priority tasks at the top, because I actually use the task function in Google Calendar as well for my priority tasks. So that is all in a widget at the very top of that screen. And then I have 3 folders underneath. And I have very minimal items in these folders. Like I said, I only brought back to my home screen what I absolutely needed quick access to, that I didn't want to search for in the library. And so that first folder is just a tracking folder, and this is like things that I need for my business. It's my mileage or expenses for my business, either with the podcast, like subscriptions that I have to keep the podcast running, or it's like mileage or products for my makeup business. It's all of those items that I need to track it's probably, I think, 2 to 3 apps that are in that folder. And then the second folder is my quick links folder. And this is just icons or shortcuts to items that I need quick access to. But again, they are all the same color icons. So even though they're in there, my brain isn't just pointing one out. Like, I would actually intentionally have to go in there to look for something if I want it out of the quick links folder. And then my third folder is the daily checks folder. And this one is my like messaging apps or social media apps. And again, they're all the same color icons. And what I do is that I put them all in this folder because I actually don't check them until it's my time is scheduled to go in and respond to messages. And then I can actually go and access all of them at once, and I can go in and respond and to everything, make sure I give attention to everything that needs attention, and then I close it out and I get out of it and I don't go back to it because I'm not constantly being pulled to it because I'm not seeing all the colors. It's just, they're all black. And then in addition to the 3 folders, I do have a shortcut to our budget tracker, like our personal expenses. I have that outside of a folder because I am checking that or I'm updating that throughout the day, because every time we make a purchase or a bill clears or anything like that, I'm updating it. It takes me 30 seconds to go in and do that, but I always have quick access to that. So it's just a shortcut to a Google Sheet. And then I also have an alarm outside of the folder because we all know how much I love setting timers. So I always need a quick access to my alarm app. So that one is out there as well. So I just have that calendar, the 3 folders, and then my budget and the alarm. And then when you slide right one more time, it goes into the app library where I can just search for anything that's not in any of these home screens that I set up. So it has helped tremendously in keeping my screen time down because I'm not constantly being pulled to my phone. It's just pretty. And when I open up my phone, I actually have to think about like, okay, what is it that I'm actually going in here to grab? And then I have to think about it, and then I can go and search out what I need. And I'm not just like opening something and then realizing 20 minutes later, after I'm done scrolling through recipes, that, oh yeah, I was checking messages. Like, that's not what I want to do anymore. So I need to make sure that I have it organized in a way that's going to keep me from doing that when I'm not thinking about it. And then I do have a few other tips for you in case you want them. And one of them is to turn off all of your notifications. And this one is huge for me for getting distracted. I have a tendency to get distracted very easily and also overwhelmed very easily if I'm not careful. So I turn off all of my notifications. But the other thing here is that I do have time in my day when I am scheduling to check messages and respond to everything that I can. And that allows me to be really intentional when I'm responding to those messages because that's my time actually set aside to do that. And so I can actually take my time to think about my response and give them my attention when I am responding. So that goes into my other tip, is to not respond immediately to everything. Like, if it's an emergency, yes, absolutely, go ahead and respond. Or if you have specific people, you can turn it on where certain people can get through any turned off notifications. Like, you can put them in as, I believe it's like emergency numbers, or I can't remember off the top of my head, but you could Google how to bypass the notifications for certain contacts. Or if there's a phone call, if you always want to make sure your phone calls, things like that. I get a ton of spam calls. So it's just distracting me throughout the day when I'm getting tons of spam and it doesn't need my attention. So I turn off all of my notifications, and then I actually go in when it's time and check everything at one time. And when I'm doing this, I have found that people don't care if you respond right away, as long as you are intentional when you do respond. So yes, it might take me a little while to respond to everybody. And I do have a business, but I tell people right up front that you will get a response in 24 to 48 hours. And when I am responding wholeheartedly because I want to show them that I care, but I can't be reactive and just constantly responding as soon as a message comes in, because I would get so overwhelmed that I would probably give up what I'm doing. And I don't want to do that. I want to be there for everybody. I want to respond intentionally. But in order for me to do that, I have to set these boundaries in place where it works for me. And people understand. They are very gracious. They're not expecting an immediate response. So if you need to, even if you need to check your messages and respond, a few times a day, like check them in the morning, check them in the afternoon, check them in the evening if you need to, but you don't have to respond as soon as it comes in every single time. Just put your phone away and give yourself a break. And when you go back and check your messages, then give it your full attention and respond, and then put it away again. It's so nice not feeling like you have to respond immediately to absolutely everything that comes into your phone. And the other tip that I have is to check your screen time every week. Your phone can do this, even if you don't have a widget or something like that. In your settings, there is a way to check your screen time. And if you check your screen time every week, challenge yourself to reduce it the next week, and then reduce it the next week. And that is a really good challenge. I have been doing that myself for several months now. And it just keeps getting lower and lower and lower and lower. And it makes me so happy when I see that number lowering and it says, 15% less this week, 30% less than last week, 35% less than last week. And I love when that screen time number goes down, because I want to be spending less time on my phone, because I want to be spending it doing other things. I don't need to be spending 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours on my phone every day. I want to have that time to do the things that I love, to be creating podcasts for you guys, to be like connecting with my family, with my friends, with my home chores. Like, I actually really enjoy things around the house, and we're making sourdough and kombucha. Like, it's a very odd thing, but that's something like I want to spend my time doing that and experimenting with different flavors and having that little project with my husband. It's those types of things that I want to spend my time doing, not being distracted by my phone. So those are all my tips of how I organize my phone and how I kind of run my phone. And hopefully that helps you. If you do similar things, I would love to hear it. Or if you're going to try these things, I'd also love to hear that. Come join us in the Facebook group. It's facebook.com/groups/theroutineadvantagecommunity, and come share it with us. We'll do a post soon on maybe screenshotting your phone and show us how yours is set up, and then we can get ideas from each other. So that is all I have for today, and I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. Did you love that episode or learn something useful? If so, would you do me a huge favor? My goal is to grow this podcast and help as many women as I can break free from the overwhelm so they can truly enjoy their life. The best way for me to do this is for you to leave a 5-star written review on your podcast app and to share this episode with a friend or in your Instagram stories. I appreciate you being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care.